Hey everyone, Corey here coming in to do my energy update for the weekend of December the 20th. I do believe this is like it is. This is like winter solstice weekend. And so we are in the winter solstice energy. And so this is where we be able to have the shortest day of the year, but it is where the light starts to begin to come in. And from today, yes, tomorrow on, is that we are moving then into our days getting longer and brighter. Now, if we're in the other hemisphere, then we're in the northern. And so if we're in the other hemisphere, then you would be in, I think, summer solstice, right? So you'd be in summer solstice. So we'd be opposite. And so here we are in the midst of our winter. And in our winter is about that recluse. It is about going inward. It is about the inward journey. Now we also have some big shifts coming up. And you may have been going through some big changes. So I do want to say, for those who are so used to hearing my sweet little Sydney dog, my little Yorkie, in your videos snoring, you will no longer hear Sydney in the videos. Unless through spirit she does come in. Sydney passed away. Sydney passed away on the 17th of December, and it's been quite the journey. There's been a lot of changes, and so yeah, so we also are feeling the effects of everything that is moving us and shifting us. And her time here on earth was filled with love and joy, and she brought so much love and joy. And so she's our beautiful spirit dog now. And I just want to, know that that's when people ask, well, where's Sydney? This is where Sydney is. And you may have seen it on my Facebook page as well, and my Instagram, as I has shared about her passing, because she was a little bit famous. So I don't want to cry. I don't want to cry. I want to get back in. I want to channel in. So I want to speak about this before I start channeling in. Let me shift gears again, get back in. So we are in this weekend's energy, and where we are now moving into Capricorn season. So we are moving out of the Sagittarius, coming to the end of a Sagittarius. Sagittarius always is at the Capricorn begins at the beginning of a season. Sagittarius ends out a season, and so we have the ending, and then we have the beginning. So we have this beginning of this new season. So bringing in this Capricorn energy and feeling this Capricorn energy and being a part of it, it is a strong leadership role. It takes the lead. There is this energy that is really truly bringing us in through being able to connect deeper into our sense of awareness. And I've been asked several times if I would address the things that are happening with the drones and with the Pope opening up these portals, and would I comment on them, and I'll see. I'll feel this out and see what comes in around this. And so the one thing that we have been speaking about all of December is the veils of illusions, and that we would see through these veils of illusions. And so where there has been this sense of having wool pulled over our eyes, where we have been disillusioned, or where we've been kind of always being led by fear, we're moving beyond that being led by fear. So if we were to see that, if I were to bring that drone energy in, is I can tell you that that drone energy is not coming in from somewhere out there. It's definitely not coming from somewhere out there. It is not being read through the energy. I am not seeing it through the energy. It is a part of the human world. It's a part of the human connection. And it does tie into that deception and the ability to be able to deceive by creating a narrative or fear. And so it is kind of taken, it kind of got a real, there's a heaviness to it, but there's also a sense of a joke to it. It's like, it's not that that the experience is a joke, but it's not being taken. If this would have happened, say a year ago, we may have been more captivated by it. We more have gotten more lost in it. Now it's become just it can become a conversation piece. It's a conversation piece. It is there's a lot of questions and people ask a lot of questions. So if it was really if it was a threat wouldn't the military be stopping it? If it was spying, wouldn't there be a no-fly zone? Wouldn't these be shut down? Wouldn't this be stopped? And so there is this awareness that this is coming from the ego and not coming from out here somewhere. It's not a greater force, it's not a greater energy. It is something of a lower vibrating energy. It's a lower frequency. It is like it's almost like another test. It's like seeing how the world will respond and how the world will react. So do I think it's coming more from the government? Do I think it's coming from somewhere like there? Absolutely. I think there's more to that story than it's just so many veils of illusion. So communicating through into asking the divine expression to bring this through is I can feel this sense of, I mean, it's not an emotion of anger, but the energy feels angry to me, frustrating. And it's the sense of manipulating the human race or manipulating people. And so there is this ability to manipulate, to kind of pull that wool over. And so there is from the divine expression, it's almost as if God is shaking his head, just saying, what is wrong with people? What is wrong with why are we trying to create more chaos? And so why is there more chaos and trying to create more hysterica and more panic and more of everything we don't need up on earth? And so that's coming in, and it's almost like a shaking of the head. It's like the energy is like it rumbles. There's a rumbling to that energy, and it's just telling me that it's like, why are we creating more of everything we don't need? We don't need more chaos. We don't need more conflict. We don't need more anger. We don't need more there. We don't need more distractions. We need more of this solid feet on the ground, get things done, make things happen. And it's not about creating more restrictions or more keeping humanity down. It's about, how do we rise humanity? How do we rise up? How do we begin to shine again? And how do we start this? And it begins with the introspection. It is about looking inward. It's about looking at ourselves. It's about looking deeper into ourselves. It's about really, truly a time of great awakening. And we're feeling that energy of awakening. Something is awakening inside of us, something that's been, sleep dormant for years, that we've kind of accepted things at face value, that we've just accepted that people in higher positions of authority have our greater good, is thinking about us. Now we're seeing that crumble and fall, and no, they do not. And it's not that it's community that has it's your people, it's those that surround us that we think about each other, we think about our neighbors, we think with this, and it's for us to really get back to that. And so what we're noticing and what's coming through, and as we move through this last bit of December, we're going to really truly feel the rumbling. We're going to feel the rumbling. We're going to feel the effects. And I'm like, if God had eyes that could send laser beams down, that could just laser beam the crap out of all of this bullshit stuff, then it would be happening. Because all of this is all like watching a bad movie, and a movie that needs to end. And so there is this ending of a story. It's an ending of a chapter. It's an ending of a whole book. So we're seeing some big endings. Now bring it into micro, bring that into ourselves. So we have all of this happening here, but what's happening inside of you? What's going on inside of you? What are you feeling? What are you noticing? And so this is about us having a deeper understanding to kind of see beyond our own emotions, our own emotional response, to see beyond our own bullshit stories, to see how we respond, how we show up, how we appear in our own lives, and what we are feeling, and to recognize that feeling for what it is. And so one of the things that I actually spoke about in recordings that I was doing for our upcoming big more than existing yearly forecast was in the Pisces, I spoke about being able to differentiate, can't say that word, between your feelings and feeling. And there is a massive difference between your feelings and feeling. And so we have kind of been blending all of that together, and there's a big difference. And so to be able to differentiate the difference between, can't even speak, between feelings and feeling. So what I'm feeling in my body doesn't have a story, it has an energy. It doesn't have an emotion, it just has an energy. What my feelings have, it's like, oh, do you hurt my feelings? So nobody can hurt your feelings unless you activate that emotion to feel the hurt. Can you feel the hurt? If someone punched you, would you feel it? Freaking right, you'd feel it. You'd feel that hurt. Your body would feel it. And not saying your feelings don't get hurt, right? But you have to be able to connect that truly, because the only way that something coming from the words of somebody else can personally destroy us is by what we believe about ourselves, what we believe to be true about ourselves. And if we believe what somebody else is trying to convince us that we should believe, then we will believe that to be true. If we are told over and over again that you're weak, you're worthless, you're nothing, then your feelings are always getting hurt when someone points a finger and says, you're nothing, you're nothing, you're not worthy, you are no good, you are garbage, blah, blah, blah. Well, your feelings will get hurt. You're feeling something being activated. And it's not sadness, it's actually anger. You feel something rising, and that is protection. That is the nervous system responding, and it's creating its ability to go into a defensive state, a protection, a sense of being able to preserve this self. And so the emotions that we add is what adds into the story. And so we are here to recognize at a period of time in our lives to really recognize that difference, to be able to check in with all aspects of ourselves, to be able to emotionally, spiritually, physically evolve. And through all that we have experienced, especially throughout this, these last decades, is that you can really see how we have kind of shut down in some areas, but we've evolved in technology, we've evolved in other areas of life, but we've not, I guess, not retreated, but we have reverted. We've gone backwards in other areas. And why? Because of solitude, because of isolation, because of the fear of being told that we shouldn't trust anyone, we can't trust our neighbors, we can't trust people, or that we are being divided. So we've been kind of pulling back and pulling away, and we've been getting lost in imitation, in false realities appearing real. And so in those false realities appearing real is those social media posts. It's all of those areas that has been pushing us backwards instead of forwards, but yet we think we're going forward. It's like being lost in one of those vision games. It's the illusion. Now it's like, you can put on one of those eye things, and you can be in Hawaii, and you can exercise in Hawaii. Like, really? It's like, no, you're not in Hawaii, you're still right here. And it's our ability to be able to escape our reality, to be able to move beyond, and to be able to have the sense of having life full, having truth kind of turned into false truth being turned into truth. So there's been a lot of false truth, especially in the past few years, that has been really pushed upon us in these agendas to be able to create that story that we need to stay in, or that we need to get into, existing more in the imitation world and less in our real world. So like Mother Nature, real sunshine, the real world, the real life. And so even in relationships, to begin to exist more in an interactive way in relationships, about the gatherings, about the connections, not about a texting, not texting to have a conversation with somebody, because only person that creates the emotion in a text is the person reading the text back. The person writing the text will have a different emotion or may have a different intention. So the intention of the text is not the same. So just think about this. When you read a text, you read it in an animated character. You create this narrative and story of what you think somebody else is thinking, what you think they're feeling, what you think they're saying, but you're only reading words. And all you have is words. So if you only read the words and you don't attach emotions, all you got is a message. It doesn't have an expression. And it's you that gives the energy, gives that expression to those words. And so we've been communicating this way for a long period of time now, which has taken us away from hearing each other's voice, or to be in the moment to say, well, it feels like in my feelers that I'm activating, I feel this way. There's something happening in my body that my nervous system is responding, but this may be my sensitivities. This might not be real. If I hear somebody raise their voice and I've got a lot of trauma in my body from being yelled at over the years, then when somebody raises their voice in a happiness or in a higher expression of self, you may be responding to that and think, oh my God, I'm afraid of that person. That person is scaring me, or that's scary. They're raising their voice. And that's because that overstimulation, that's because there is the unhealed, unresolved in the body that has not yet been acknowledged. It has not been sorted out. And so go back to the text, go back to that message. And so all of this energy that has created these illusions, that has created all of these building blocks of stories and narratives, and that has taken us to having false relationships with people, dating sites and texting and over dating sites. And then I hear kids say, well, I'm in a relationship with somebody. I said, oh, you are? Yeah. I'm like, well, where did you meet them? Well, online. Have you seen them in person? No. I said, well, you're not in a relationship. You're in a fantasy. You're in the illusions. You're in the illusions of a relationship because there hasn't been a relationship that has developed. And trust me, I've seen this through the online work. Like I can feel this. I know this through my own life experiences and what we feel throughout life and how we have been impacted throughout life. Do we text? Yes. But is there an importance for the interaction? Yes. And is there an importance for us to all look at things that are being thrown at us, that's being passed on as truth, and to question those so-called truths and look at the deeper, bigger picture? What is the bigger picture? And how have we created the illusions that we create a false reality, a false emotion, and falsely create a narrative around somebody that we just choose not to like, or we just don't like that they are different, think different. So now we have to, now we can justify destroying them. And I don't mean just personally attacking them. I mean destroying their lives, taking things away because we don't agree. And so it's the same thing with all of this conversation around taking away free speech, taking things away from people, removing things. These are all in those veils of illusions. These are the things that once you activate these false realities, or the possibility of this is going to bring me peace, you're going to find yourself further away from peace than you have ever been in your life, because it also is going to rob you. And so there is this energy that's saying it's time for that deep dive in to really look at ourselves, to experience things in a new way, to stop retreating toward for the wrong things, to start to recognize rest and peace and resolution in a different way than to the way that we are looking at it. It's not about who and what we can destroy to get what we want. It's about being able to coexist, to be able to create a world that has that coexistence. So on a bigger scale, these are all the things we're being told to look at. Bring that into the micro, bring that into you. what parts of self are you not really coexisting well with within you? What parts of yourself are you trying to run, avoid, be distracted from? What areas of yourself have you kind of shut off, turned off? What parts of you are ready to be turned the light on, to have a real conversation with yourself, to have a real conversation that brings about healing in your life, that brings about change, that brings about this new projection of possibility, that if I open my heart, open my mind, if I don't add an emotional connection to words, then I simply got words. And if I want to know what's really, what somebody is really feeling, if I want to know what someone's really thinking, then maybe I should talk to them and get into the physical conversation that gives space and energy and time for a real evolution of the conversation so that we can be clear. And so here's our statement. Just to be clear, just so that I understand, do I have this correct? Am I feeling this correctly? Is this what you really feel? Is this what you really think? Is this what you really believe? Why do you believe that? I want to know your point of view. I want to hear your point of view, but I also want you to listen to my point of view. I also want to listen. So the power and the ability to listen and to be able to listen begins with learning to be able to listen to yourself. Hear what you're saying, hear what you're not saying, to be able to hear the chatter, to hear the chaos, to hear everything, but to also sit in the silence and to allow the silence, the cool crispness of a winter evening when all is silent and you just see the glistening, you see the frost, you feel the frost, you feel the cold, right? We feel the cold, and the only way we can cry because we feel the cold is because it begins to hurt. And when it begins to hurt, then we activate that emotion that it's freaking painful, right? And so that activation creates something more. But when we're in it and it's just cool, is that we feel there's a space here. There's a space for wisdom to come in, that this is beautiful. And so in our silence, in our quietness, in just the ability not to create a bigger story than needs to be there is the opportunity for beauty. There is an opportunity for true light. There's a space for the divine expression. And we're here at this time and at this pivotal turning point to bring in that lead, that true leader within ourselves, to awaken that true sense of inner authority, that spiritual authority, to be moved by something more, to have the ability to sit in the power, which is something that is a common thing for us as, or should be, if you're not sitting in the power as a medium. I'm going to be a little bit questioning, where you are. Where are you if you're not sitting in the power? And so sitting in the power and sitting with that and just letting the light breathe in and out, letting there to be letting our, it's like we've been restricted and held in for so long, and everything is too tight. Everything needs to be opened. Everything needs room to breathe. And it's just like we need room to breathe, and to breathe in and to breathe out, and to be able to take that deeper breath. That deeper connection comes when we are not feeling like we are under attack, not under a threat, not being threatened, but to be able to recognize that everything that's happening within us right now is we are in an ascension. We are growing. We are evolving from within, just like the universe is. There is something that is happening within us. You may have even had ascension flu. If you're into woo woo and you're into the spiritual, you may have been experiencing the aching in the body, the ascension. But it also means, you also got to check your health out. You've got to be on board with keeping your health in check. But we are going to really see a big shift in how we are so easily triggered. And we're not going to be so easily triggered for the most part, not everyone, but as we awaken to that truth, is that we're a little more willing to walk into the unknown without being triggered, to back down, back away, and to run away from our truths. So this growth, this development is really bringing us into a place that's awakening an evolved sense of our own intuition, the healing of the instinctual self, the growth of something more that is taking place. And yeah, you should be asking a lot of whys. Well, why of a sudden, why are you not, why wouldn't they be stopping this? Why wouldn't this be happening? This is not an illusion. And so as we move through, and that spiritual connection is the other war that has been, that is always, or the division, the conflict is always between Christianity and spirituality, and that one is evil and one is good, and one is this and one is that, and it's if you were to put everybody in a space, you're going to find a smorgasbord of good, bad, and ugly in each of those spaces. You're going to find spiritual immaturity, you're going to find emotional immaturity, you're going to find fear, you're going to find half truths, you're going to find pain, you're going to find hurt, you're going to find all of the same things. And it's the beliefs that hold us so strong, that keep us down, that weigh us down. And so our own inability to open up, to be able to have faith that we cannot be rocked and moved from a true faith, a true sense of our divine expression, when we know who we are and we know ourselves. But we can be trapped into the illusion when we believe in the narratives that we are evil, bad people, we're not good people, or that we are superior. And so that superior race, that sense of we are superior because we got it all right and we're good and you're bad, that's a very unhealthy thought process to live by. And so we're seeing the disintegration, not just of one, we're seeing the breakdown of a lot of this happening, because hidden in behind all of this is those manipulating agendas. It is the sinister energy. So there is sinister energy hidden in behind all areas. And it's like, it's not, we're not here to become all one pack. We're here so that we can have the ability to think for ourselves, to make up our own mind, to not to live in the fear that we are a less than, or that we are not smart enough to think for ourselves, to take care of ourselves, that we need this higher authority of a person over here, like the government, to run our lives for us. They're not here to run our lives. They're here to help us be able to keep things in order. But that role has become very construed and mixed up, and it has it's become in all arenas. And it's so funny, because if you were to look at life of wanting to be out of the box, everyone's like, I don't want to be in a box. I don't want to be told what to do. But yet the minute you get out of a box, you try to create a new box. It's like, I don't want to be run by all these rules, but once you get out, you're trying to create a new organization, a new association. And why? Because you just can't accept that somebody else thinks different, that somebody else might have a different way, because we're all meant to. We are a kaleidoscope. And if we can see ourselves as the kaleidoscope, we are the diamond. Hence why there's a diamond in more than existing. We are the essence of all of these reflections. And if God needs light and love to be in all areas, we need that light. We need love. We need happiness. We need joy. It's not all meant to be clustered together, and then everything else over here turns black and dark and rots away. It is not for a tyranny. It is not for a one perfection of a race. It is for us to be able to live open and free. And so if we do that inside of ourselves, we are doing no different than what the world outside of us keeps trying to do to us. And so all of this clustering in, it's like, well, you got to live this way. You got to think this way. You got to write this way. You can't do this. You can't do that. Why not? And so this is where the frustration my whole life has played out, because I've always questioned all of that. And so then you become that rebel. And so it's finding my middle road, is recognizing not everyone's going to think like me. Not everyone's going to believe like me. Not everyone's going to live like me. But I'm also going to learn a lot, because I know very little. We know such little amount of anything, but there's a lot to be discovered. But I do know that I can have faith, and I can trust in this intuition. I can trust in God. I can trust in self. Who God is, I don't know. There's a source, there's a creation, there's a something. But I know that there is something that moves us, and there's something that pulls us away. And I do know there's a darkness inside of us. There is an internal force that pulls us even away from the things and the people we love the most. when we get trapped in our heads. And so, like I said, we can be over here, we can want to get out of this one little cluster, but you get over here and then you're like, well, I need this rule and I need that rule because, you know, those people and this people. And it's because we create these narratives and because we have this overstimulation, overreaction, not being able to self-regulate, not be able to trust self and to know that we are safe with ourselves. When we're not safe with ourselves, we try to make everything else around us to feel safe. And so all of the illusions, all of the false realities, all of these things is starting to kind of, it's evolving, but also not working, right? It's like, I want to talk to somebody. I want to speak to somebody. I don't want to talk to a machine no more. I don't want to talk. I want to talk to a person. It's like calling in to deal with a phone call that you need to speak to somebody and you can never speak to anybody, right? You can never communicate with nobody. They're not there. It's a machine, or everybody, nobody's in a space working together anymore. People are all over the place. And so there is this kind of community, this come together, but not to lock us in, not to encage us, but to recognize that we can be together, but we can separate, that we can be this and be that. And so when we look at the opening of portals, if this is where you use discernment, so we're told that it is evil, bad, and not good for spiritual people for us to open portals. These people are evil, these people are dark. But then you discover and you hear that a religious authority is now opening up portals. So where did all of this originate? There's an original source. And so being taken, holy water, moon water, spiritual, right? Spiritual healing versus Christian healing. Like prophecy, if it's all coming from the one higher consciousness and the one good. But so if this is evil and this is supposed to be so-called good, but yet this person, this energy over here is very judgmental and has an agenda. What if we don't have an agenda, right? So what makes one better than the other? And so how do we know that how do we know this is holy and good and great? How do we know that? How do we know that? How do we know that that person, who they are behind closed doors, is not who they are when they show up in the world? How do we know? How do we know? Right? We don't know. If the proof is in the pudding, it's how we show up. It's how we relate. It's how we treat ourselves, and it's how we treat others. And when our moral compass is perfectly aligned to being in the highest divine expression of ourselves, we will do things for the right reason, but we will never have an unhealthy intention to choose to mistreat, misjudge, or to cause any harm intentionally to another person. And so all of this is in question right now. We're feeling it, we're sensing it, and it is time where we are starting to look up and we're starting to ask ourselves the bigger whys. What is the bigger whys? And why is it that I can only trust this person? Why is it I can only be around this person? Why is this the only right way? What if there's more than one way? What if there's more than one right way? What if there's several right ways? And those several right ways is so that we can expand out, so that we can become an expansion of love and light, so that these rays of light, this diamond effect that is happening, is so that we can spread love and light in the world, and not to be spreading more of the darkness, more of the hate, more of the criticism, more of the drama, more of the chaos. This is about spreading love and not hate. And the more that we get back into this, and so questioning why all of this is happening, and why we're creating more divide, more fear, and more chaos instead of creating more sense of peace, is because there's always, often, hidden agendas when we have sinister energy that still exists. So everyone has a sinister energy within. And the power to be able to manipulate versus the power to be able to bring in manifestation is, what are we manifesting from our ability to be able to manipulate even our own self through our own emotions, and versus our ability to be able to manipulate others based on how we emotionally respond or how we treat others through our emotions. This is what I have for you, and I hope this leads you down the path of deep discovery over the weekend. And into this next week. And I'll be back by Christmas Eve, Christmas Day to share more of the journey of whatever is happening. I send you so much love. And please, if you're not on the More Than Existing Academy of Higher Consciousness, and you would love to know more about the new year, about what's coming in 2025 for your zodiac sign, then I suggest you go over and subscribe to the Academy. We have just released the Capricorn forecast reading, but it's not like every other year. So you're not seeing the broke down individual zodiac signs on YouTube this year. It is in the Academy. We're bringing it home to where myself and Lisa Richard place all of our creations, all of our teachings. We share what we know. And I've done a real extensive, which is now blended with Lisa's work. So we are collaborating because we are the faces of the More Than Existing Academy. And we've brought together our work from Gene Keys, human design, my channeling, my coaching, the More Than Existing program, and all the wisdom that we have, and being able to read energy and connect and see, and as a seer. And I'm bringing in the forecast reading for 2025, along with all about the energy and the archetypes and the vices and the verses that goes with each zodiac sign. So for $49.99 Canadian, you'll be able to, as we release them, this is a big project we just took on a few weeks ago, that it's not seeing us as much as because we are so embodied in this project right now. But the Capricorn is now released. So if you are the sun sign of Capricorn, or if it's your moon, or if it's your ascendant, and you want to know more about all of the 2025 for each of the zodiac signs, you can purchase more if you like as they release. But right now, Capricorn, the zodiac of Capricorn is available. Go to the mteacademy.ca and get yours today if you are the Capricorn and you've been waiting for me to release the forecast readings, because you will not see the individuals here. I will do the yearly prediction for the whole year on YouTube, but each and every zodiac sign is now over in the Academy. Go check that out, sign up so that you know when your sign becomes available for you to be able to purchase as well. I send you so much love. And and More Than Existing level 1 is starting again in January. And if you want to really truly step into a program about self-discovery, self-actualization, about learning and knowing more about you, about building before you build, about building a strong foundation, and learning about you before you take this out and hand it over, before you start saying, I just learned something and I can't wait to share it with everyone else. This is about you first. I make More Than Existing all about self first. I have since it began. It began back in 2019, and it has been evolving and growing since then. And this has always been the format for it, is that we work with you first. It is the you first, the small I, and then we move into the big I, and we move into from I to we, and how you help others and how you show up. But helping yourself is always the beginning of how we can be of service better to society, to our family, and to ourselves. And so if you want to be a part of More Than Existing, the level 1, it is beginning in January, and there is a discount for the early bird signing. And so if you sign up now, you get a $500 discount, and we do have payment options as well. It is a 6-month program where you work with me in a one-on-one basis once a week online, and you have all kinds of resources and connections and information that is in there for you. And Lisa also does step in, and Lisa Richard steps in, and she shares a little bit about her journey through her human design. And Lisa Starr Francis comes in, and she is the word alchemist, and she teaches about how we are triggered by words when they're simply just words, and how to neutralize those words that keep triggering us, that keep us spiraling. So I look forward to being able to see you. I look forward to knowing more about you through sharing in the comments if you are purchasing your zodiac sign, and being able to share your experiences with us as you go through it. And so I look forward to hearing from you in the comments below about, how you're feeling this energy, what's existing for you, what's happening for you during these times, and what you're feeling and what you're noticing. And I want to go back to that, the difference between your feelings and the feeling. And how often do you kind of have that blended together of the feelings and the feeling, and looking at your life now and kind of seeing it in all of these little moving pieces, if we were to break that down, what that looks like, and how sometimes we've reacted in not in the best way, and have to kind of rise up from there. There's power in humility, and there's great power in humility. It's one of our greatest teachers. And when we can rise from our humility, we can be humble and also still be courageous and still be thriving and still be showing up in the world. But we recognize that we may never know it all, and we're not always right. And so I could be wrong has always been is my mantra for the last how many years. I could possibly be wrong. I don't mean it's not that I'm right. Always right is that there's a possibility that I could be wrong. And so if I could be wrong, there might be a new right. So have a beautiful, beautiful winter solstice. And I look forward to seeing you right before the Christmas season. Much love. Bye bye.